Today on 16-Bit Game Reviews, I destroy the Krusty Krab, I talk to some old men, and finally, somebody decided to put a spatula on top of an acorn. Hello and welcome. Now, movie-based video games or television show-based video games are usually rubbish. However, there has been rumors that there are some good video games based on TV shows and movies, and I believe that I found one of them. For those who haven't guessed it yet, this is Spongebob Squarepants Battle for Bikini Bottom for PlayStation 2, Xbox, Xbox 360, and GameCube. And the weirdest thing is, this is a video game based off of a TV show, and it's brilliant. And I will explain why. For starters, the story is original. It starts off with Plankton creating a robot army to invade the Krusty Krab to steal the Krabby Patty formula. And as usual, the plan fails and Plankton loses complete control over the robots, and they wreak havoc over town. Now, on the complete opposite side of town, SpongeBob and Patrick are playing robots and seahorses, and they wish for real robots. And then they wake up the next day finding the entire city of Bikini Bottom under attack, and it's up to SpongeBob to defend it. Each level of SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom, whether it's Jellyfish Fields, or Goo Lagoon, or even Rock Bottom, it has its own sub-story, which you get to explore. And, to be honest, each level is the approximate size of a SpongeBob SquarePants episode. It's actually 30 minutes just to complete one level, even if you just try to go storm right through it.
You shouldn't sneak up on Mermaid Man like that.
Now, normally, if a video game based off a TV show has a good story, it must have a bad gameplay. This, again, breaks the cliche. The gameplay is amazing because it's a traditional 3D platforming gameplay. You run around in a 3D environment. There are obstacles to jump over. There are enemies you can hit. You have a life system based on underwear, and you have a point system, or what they call in the game, shiny object, which is used as currency. In the end, it fits well together, and it pulls together a very good game. But how about the controls? Normally, controls are brutal. They're stiff, or characters are unresponsive, they don't jump when you tell them to jump. But in this, again, it isn't. The controls are perfect. You hit the jump button, he jumps. He jumps double the height if you want him to. He attacks when you tell him to, and he runs around like if you were to run around in the 3D environment. It's jolly fun. Unfortunately, there are limitations to the control, and that's because of the controller. If you're used to controllers like the PlayStation 2 controller or the Xbox controller, the minute you take your game to your friend's house and he pulls out a GameCube controller which works with your Xbox or PS2, you will be scratching your head on how to use it. But then again, I haven't heard of a GameCube controller which is compatible with the Xbox or PS2. If you know, please contact me and tell me where I can find it, because I would love to own one. Okay, so the story is excellent, the gameplay is almost perfect, and the controls are limited to the controllers, which is odd in a video game. But how's the visuals? Are they pixelated messes like usual? Well, again, it's based on the console you use. For example, if you have an Xbox, the textures are a bit better and not as pixelated. But if you have a PS2, you'd be right in the middle. The textures are pixelated, but at the same time they're not that pixelated, and I'm just nitpicking right now. I'm seriously just nitpicking. The visuals are bright, they're beautiful, and they don't make me puke when I look at it, or they aren't 50 Shades of Grey, like Call of Duty. They're like a classic NES game. They just pop out of the screen, and there's nothing wrong with it. So surely there has to be something wrong with this game. Maybe the soundtrack. Maybe it sounds like somebody took a guitar and decided to hit some random keys, or maybe they just hit the drum and then called it a soundtrack. Or maybe they decided to take a modem and then make that the soundtrack. But again, no, they didn't. They made one of the greatest soundtracks for the PS2. Or at least original soundtracks. And it's actually one of the catchiest soundtracks I've listened to. I got this game back in 2004, 2005. Back whenever they made it the Game of the Year edition. And almost 10 years later, 5-10 years later, somewhere around there, I can still tell you, or at least hum to you, the theme song for Jellyfish Fields, Goo Lagoon, Rock Bottom, even though that doesn't really have a theme, and the Dreamscape level, which is my favorite level. They could have messed up the soundtrack, but instead, they succeeded beyond my wildest dreams. And I like that. And I haven't even mentioned the best part. The price for the GameCube and PlayStation 2 versions of the game is up and around $10 for a decent copy. Now that's wonderful. Unfortunately, the Xbox version does cost up and around $20. It's double the price, but unlike the PS2 and GameCube versions, you can play this one in sparkling component HD. So in the end, Spongebob Squarepants Battle for Bikini Bottom is a brilliant all-time classic. And if you were to compare it to other games released in the same time, this game is pretty damn near perfect. Thank you for watching. Now, I would like to remind everyone that any game you see up on the show is available on eBay, and most likely the copies that you see are the cheapest on the internet at one point. I'd also like you guys to follow us on Facebook, like us on Twitter, and go to the website at 16bitvideogamesstonereview.com. All the spaces are just minus signs. Links in the bottom. Also, next time, I have a very special review. It's going to be one of my favorite Nintendo DS games of all time. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Blue/Red Rescue Team. Until then, thanks for watching.